Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Beard of Darkness Book Reviews. I want to sorry about the green screen. All of a sudden, it's super green. I'll try to fix that. But welcome again. But this is the first time one-on-one. Mike from Mike's Book Reviews. What's going on, man? How are you doing tonight, brother?
Man, you're making me feel like my intro is soft because you're just metal as hell, man.
Dude, so, there's some cool stuff. One of my first buddies on here on YouTube, or well, not on YouTube, on X actually, was DB Rook, and he has a band in the UK called Terminal Sun, and he knocked it out of the park. Him and his band, it just kind of hits that for me. I'm a metalhead, and I know you are too. We're Metallica fans, we're AC/DC fans. I know you love them, but I go a little harder sometimes, not all the time. There's some times where look, I'm hair banging, but I have to imagine the hair.
Yeah, I got there too. It took me a little while, but I got there. But yeah, to me, it's like I just love music. Don't get me wrong. But, sometimes you got to get a little. I kind of draw the line at Cookie Monster on the vocals, but yeah,
okay,
just full on hardcore. But I still like some melodic vocals. I like to understand what they're singing about.
See, no, I get, and I think that's the biggest. We're not like huge different in age, but I think that slight variance in age, the Cookie Monster vocals kind of came in when I was like developing, is let's say 17, 18, probably before then. There's a few bands that I do kick it with the Cookie Monster, but not many. But those that do, yeah, I dig it, man. So. How has the summer been for you? How's the thing? I know you've got a hot one in Texas.
Yeah, it's always hot, but what is it? We keep having these like cataclysmic freaking weather events. We always have hurricanes but I almost died in a tornado like 2 months ago. And then getting a hurricane like right afterwards. And honestly, the hurricane wasn't as big of a deal because I wasn't in a car right when it was hit by. So
I saw I knew that you were kind of close to all that stuff going on, but that kind of picture with through your car, man, that was epic. That was terrifying, and I wasn't even there. It
was the video that I posted on the video. That was somebody else that took that video. That wasn't from my point of view because I was actually a lot closer to it. My car actually went up on 2 wheels, and I was like, well,
no way,
right with God. That's kind of how I felt while it was happening. I was like, this is it, but it was very scary. And a lot of people are like, what were you doing in the car? It's like, we don't get tornadoes here very often, not in the city. So it was out of nowhere. They were like, it's going to rain, and we're like, okay, if it's going to rain, no big deal. And I was leaving an appointment, and I almost had a different appointment I had to get to. So it was very scary. But
2 wheels, I had no idea.
Oh yeah, it was really terrifying. That's
scary, dude.
Yeah, I'm surprised my car fine, no damage or nothing. So I lucked out there. But in the end, it's like that's just a car. You can get another one. You can't get another one of these. Another
yes.
Life. But yeah, it was sobering, and I was like, something like that happens, and you're like, you know what? I need to do better. I need to be better. I need to make sure I'm right. I need to make sure I've got all my affairs in order at all time. So it's but other than that, it's been just a normal hot Houston summer. We got to do a family vacation, stuff like that. But
yeah,
it's normal. Yeah.
Wow. Well. I knew that you were in the shit, but I had no idea the level of shit you were in, dude. Wow. Well, yeah. I'm thankful you're here, man, and I'm glad that you got through that, dude. That's crazy.
Thanks. Yeah.
We have some wonderful people. What's up, John? Always here. Herman, what's going on, Herman?
John never tries to get under people's skin. Ever.
Never. No, not him. Somebody, I don't know if you have her on X, dude, but she's always posting. She's an audiobooker. She can't do the books. She has some things going on where she can't read a lot. And man, I'll tell you what, just the amount, I would put her up there with you and Brian and Red Fury with the amount of books that I've just got on my TBR because she's just always throwing them up there. What's going on, Brian, man? It's so good to see you here, brother. He just posted a picture with Pauly Shore. My wife's got my back. Yes, dude. Yeah, we're big Pauly Shore fans, Brian. So good for you, man.
Yeah, I'm sure that showed my kid Encino Man before he got too old to not probably sure it was cool. He liked it quite a bit.
Yeah. So I think anytime that I hear Polly Shore, I go Biodome. Did you watch Biodome?
Yeah, yeah. My kid all he could just think about the whole time was, hey, that's the guy from The Mummy for Brendan Fraser, so he knew it for that.
And he, kudos to him because he kind of took a back seat for a while, and then he came out and is doing big things. Good for him too, by the way. It's amazing. My wife, son-in-law.
That's an underrated flick. It really is.
She keeps telling she's much more of a Pauly Shore fan than me, and I would say I'm like a 6. She's like a 9, and I haven't watched Son-in-Law.
Well, Son-in-Law had like 2 of my like celebrity crushes in it: Tiffany Amber Thiessen and Gina Carino. Is that how you say her? I can't think of her name. Think of how you say her name. She's in Gerald's Game. She's in Haunting a Hill House. She's gorgeous. But yeah, so that was a very instrumental movie in my teenage years. But
I have to check it out, man. I have
that's
to.
Fun if you can handle the polyisms. Yeah.
My guy NJ Alex said, "You can't leave us yet, Mike." Right? No, yes. You still need to tell us all those. Dude, absolutely.
Right. I told a lot of people in those comments was that 99.9% of the stuff I get is positive, and I usually will just ignore those ugly ones. But once they start piling up after a while, I'll be like, hey, you know what? Some people might be new here. They might be reading the comments, and I don't want them being like, "Well, what's that all about?" So I thought I'd make a video just like explain that. Wasn't really meant to be like a dunk on kind of thing, but yeah, I guess you get some wild ones. You get some really really wild ones. Yeah.
As a fan, and this, man, like I think anybody that can come to your channel and think anything negative is really looking for it. Like seriously digging, dude. Look, I don't see anything like that. I've never had a negative thought, even if you're talking about a book and there's books that you like that I don't like. And guess what? That is perfectly okay. And you got to leave like a negative review. Bards, what's going on, my dude? John Palladino, man. I know I don't know if you're of course I know you're a Grimdark fan, but man, his
he sent me Trials of Ashmount and Buzzards Bowl, and I feel awful, but it's just it had to go on the stack of all these wonderful. Like I get
knows what every
day, hey, why haven't you read this author yet? I'm like, do you know how many great authors I haven't had a chance to read yet? Like Philip is one of the super tight with Philip, and I've only read his first book. It's like it's not meant to be like I'm disrespecting someone if I don't.
No.
It's just like, man, I gotta pick. I gotta take my time.
I've been in the middle of Buzzards Bowl. I read Trials really quick. That was one of the first books I got when I was a YouTuber, and I got through it quick. But you had been on the thing for a few years by then, and I'm in the same exact, not even I'm 1/100th of your size of a channel, exactly, like less than that actually.
But I loved Mike Shackle's The Last War. And the thing was like once I finally read it. It took so long for me to read it from when Mike sent it to me. He didn't even remember sending it to me. That's how long it took. So I tell people sometimes, like, look, sometimes it's going to take 2-3 years before I can get to some of these things. It doesn't mean I don't want to. It definitely doesn't mean I'm throwing shade at any author. It's just something you just got to get lucky with that dart I throw sometimes.
That's never it. And if you're anything like me, I'm a mood reader. So I'll start 5 or 6 books at once, and then I'll finish one of them.
I did that when I first started the channel. I was like, I can't do this because I was getting so many recommendations when I first started. And I thought, I bet I just start like 6 book ones at the same time. And I still think to this day, I've only finished 3 of those. Series. So
I had to, and I had the same kind of epiphany that you did. It was, if I start so many books, man, I'm going to just rack my mind and feel bad about it, first of all. So I don't accept as many anymore. And if I start something, I really, really try to finish it. Rather than
somebody who sends me something, like I've got no problem, hey, showing it off in a book haul or something, I can try to help you out. But I was like, look, I'll be honest with you, chances are I'm never going to get to read it.
You're a dad, you're a husband.
That kind of point to where, how George R.R. Martin isn't getting any younger. Well, I'm not getting any younger, and I've got a lot of stuff to read. So it's a pretty good chance I'm probably never going to get to it.
Well, it kind of brings up something I was going to bring up a little bit later, but we'll throw it up now since we're kind of on it. Like, you have read a lot of those big influential Song of Ice and Fire. You're caught up with Ryan Cahill's Bound and the Broken. And do you feel when you look at your shelves or if you're thinking about it, like what you're going to read next or when you're making your schedule, that you're excited to read the next thing now that you've gone through like what a lot of people hold as their number ones or number twos?
I think every time you start a new fantasy world, it's always really exciting for sure. But I've always said that I feel like the book that I'm most excited about is the one that I have on deck, because I'll be starting reading a new book and I'm excited, and then I'm about a third of the way through it. I'm like looking at that one I've got.
Yes.
So it's not like a attention span thing where I think you're just always excited for the unknown, always excited for what's coming next kind of thing. So yeah, I get that feeling, but there's plenty of times where like, can you just focus, please?
Yes. And it's a lot to do with like today, right? We've got the phones, we've got computers, we're up to date on anything that we really want to be. For me, that was kind of hard to see past it and make a decision. But I have that exact same feeling. The reason I kind of brought it up is me starting this channel got my wife into reading, and she's not a fantasy reader, excuse me, and she's more of a thriller, murder.
Does all the nonfiction, true crime stuff.
Yeah. And she loves it, and she hates starting a new book. Where me, I feel a lot like you do. It's like, oh, I'm about to dive into this next imaginary world. She's like, so her favorite author is a woman. She's an independent author, but holy shit, dude, does she sell? Frida McFadden. Yeah, dude, she just sells. And her newest book was #1 on the New York Times, and she just got knocked off by one of her first books. Oh, so she's like number one and number two.
Number 1 and 2 now.
Yeah, exactly. So kind of it's the opposite for her, and that's kind of why I wanted to touch on it, because I feel the exact same. It's like, okay, I'm getting ready to start this new imaginary world. I can't wait to dive in and kind of, feel where this is going, or where does this hit for me? Bards and books. That's a wonderful comment. The biggest distraction while reading is all the other books staring at you on the shelf.
They're looking at me. Yeah,
they are. 100%. What's going on, Charlie? It's good to see you all the way.
It's got that thing where like your books are judging you whenever you click buy on Amazon to buy some.
Yeah.
You're like, really? All the unread books looking at you like, for real? Okay.
100%. So what I really also like about you is, man, is you get you're a sports fan. So how is sports in Texas right now as a whole? Are you digging what's going on?
It's looking up. I mean, I know a lot of people in the audience probably that don't like the Astros, and that's fine. I have no problem being the villain. Hello, I love being the villain. So I've got no problem. There's people all the time like, you feel guilty being an Astros fan? Absolutely.
Why would you?
Not. Yes, no, I cry into my championship gear every night. Sorry. And the Rockets have rebuilt the right way, so they're finally going to be exciting for once. And of course, we've got like the big new sensation at quarterback in the NFL, so it's very exciting. It's hopefully it's good times ahead.
Bro. So I have been my mom and dad grew up in Michigan, and I've been a Michigan fan since before I even knew I was.
And look, like that Ohio State guy, huh?
And I live very close to Ohio State's capital. I live in Ohio, so I get a lot of shit. I remember growing up like just wearing it to school, and Ann Arbor's a whore. It's like, bro, I'm in the 8th grade. Why are you saying this to me? Like,
yeah, when I was I was probably about 6 or 7. Went to what they call I grew up in Atlanta, and the Bulldogs and University of Florida, the Gators, had a huge rivalry. And they have this event every year called the World's Largest Cocktail Party, where it's a neutral site. It's halfway between Florida and Georgia, and it's just a big rivalry game. And I'm just excited. I'm getting to go see the Bulldogs live, and there are people like dog cussing me, and I'm like, I'm 7, man.
Look,
college football fans are a different cut. They are definitely different.
When I was graduating, my sister graduated high school, and we worked together at a pizza joint, and I hadn't really done what I was going to do yet. And we both got the day before we got tickets to Ohio State Michigan game in Ann Arbor.
How many fights were there?
Well, yeah, right. So we drove up to Ann Arbor. We got there about 3 a.m. and we took this parking lot, and it ended up being kind of like the tailgating central, if you will, right by the stadium. We didn't know, but we were first in line. And by the way, if you ever make it first, that's fun while you're there. When you're trying to leave, don't plan on leaving anytime soon. But we got spit on in Ann Arbor by Ohio State fans behind us, and that was before I had any nuts, so I didn't do anything about it. But now don't try it, Ohio State fans, because I might get mad.
The wildest thing about that is like CJ Stroud, huge competitive guy, big Ohio State guy, obviously, and his number one wide receiver on the Texans, Michigan, Nico Collins, and I was like, man, this is like when Crips and Bloods got together and shook hands, man. This is crazy.
It is. It's so fun though.
You said that basically it's like politics. We just don't talk about it. That's whenever they ask them about it. So
yes.
Michigan winning the national last year. I'm sure that I was like, man, CJ Stroud's gonna go off for like 600 yards tomorrow.
Man, when last year, so we won the national championship, which I wasn't expecting. I thought we would do well. But I thought it would be similar as the year before. Well, we got pretty far. We didn't really hit it all the way, but it was really cool to finally see again, because I grew up idolizing Charles Woodson. You see that epic picture with him with the rose in his mouth at the Rose Bowl. That's Charles Woodson, guys. Or the Heisman Trophy. That's I can't think of his name. Desmond Howard. Yes, Desmond Howard. That's him. That's Michigan. That's his thing, man. And that's why the Heisman looks like that. So it's been really cool.
I remember that on the fly, because I'm starting to forget a lot of names because of all these damn fantasy books. I'm surprised I remembered that one on the fly. But I never did the pose.
Yeah, no, that was great. I used to have the picture with him and Charles Woodson signed. I don't know where the hell that's at. I've moved so many times, but that was excellent because I forgot.
See the comments? Is how I feel whenever I'm on a live stream. I start talking about sports. People are like, well, see you later.
Hey, it's all good. It's all good. You know what the thing is? Hold on, here it is. My wife, in case we have anyone near who watch, please make sure to well, thank you, love. That was very nice. Wolverines winning must have been great. It was, dude. Thank you, Shad.
You think JJ will be any good in the pros?
Oh, it's hard to tell, man, because
I think they need to let him sit for a year. I talked to Brian about this. They need to let him sit for a year, but
look at Tom Brady, man. He didn't do a lot at Michigan. He was kind of how he started in the NFL. Yeah. It's really hard to tell. And there's a guy, I remember Chris Perry. He held so many balls, like he was a running back, just kind of short, but a powerhouse. And he never fumbled the ball. And then it came to the Ohio State game. I think he fumbled right at the beginning. He had like 400 and something attempts without fumbling the ball. And then he went to Cincinnati Bengals. And I think he got hurt, but I thought he would do well.
I was with a Michigan fan around the time that Tom Brady got drafted. And he was all, Brady was a bum. And then once he started winning championships, it was like, oh, yeah, Brady, Michigan, baby.
Yeah.
I didn't like him when he was there.
No, I forgot that he went to Michigan. I remember guys like oh my gosh. Well, I gotta sit and think because God's been forever. Him and his dad played. Can't remember. I'll think of his name and I'll sprout it out. But him and his dad played now. Oh, Brian Greasy. Greasy, his dad played. Yeah. And then there was some another really Navarre. His name was John Navarre. He was a really good quarterback for Michigan. Who really I think he actually went to play baseball. So it's really hard to tell, man. Yeah, what's up, man? Ed, what's going on? So I had this thing with my UK buddies. They don't really understand what biscuits and gravy is. And I posted a picture the other day. I was like, anybody who doesn't know or respect I was at Bob Evans. Of course, you're very familiar with this.
You're just talking about the food biscuits and gravy.
Biscuits and gravy, yeah, okay. Just the foods.
I didn't know there was some kind of slang I was missing.
Nope.
No, I'm from the Southeast, man. I grew up in Atlanta. Yeah, we're all about biscuits and gravy.
Oh, yeah. It was kind of like an unknown between me and my UK buddies, and I posted a picture the other day, and now they get it. So
yeah, but they think we're weird with our food. They're probably not.
They
wrong.
do.
Yeah.
And I have to say, looking back at the picture of what my biscuits and gravy look like, I can understand it. It looks a little bit you gotta
cook the sausage up and then put the sausage and the sausage grease in there and mix it up.
Oh yes, dude. My wife makes bacon gravy, which was different. It's not my favorite, but it's not bad. So I had some fun stuff to go through. We did the best thing though, is we go off on these tangents, and those are the best, man. I absolutely love the tangents that I go off on the channel. But to kind of move along, like you have 2 boys. I knew I was going to talk about this. No, so I have 3, homie. I have 3. Yeah, so I have 3 and 1 girl.
Oh my God! Oh
yeah. So
I can't even imagine doubling what I have right now. I can't even fathom it. No.
3 is like, okay, this is pretty hard. And then once you double the amount of parents, you're like, holy shit. But I had to ask you, since you have boys, I feel like you're going to have an idea of what's something, and say whatever you want. There's no edits on this. And believe me, what I'm going to tell you, I don't know that it's going to be more of a cuss word than what I'm going to say. Does your boys say anything crazy?
Oh, well, my 12-year-old's gotten real brave. Because, I mean, look, I grew up in a pretty strict household. So one of the things you can discipline your kids without hitting them. You know, that was something I started everybody to. They say a lot of shit. I'm like, if I had said that to my mom, I would be wearing that wall right there. Dude. You know, he's getting really, really snarky. And then the younger one, he's on the spectrum, so he'll say shit that's just like so outlandish. It's like, well, you know, he doesn't really know any better, but you probably shouldn't be saying that. At least don't say it at school.
My boy got in the car the other day, and he said, "Dad, let your fucking nuts hang." He's 3.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to the point now where every time me and my 12-year-old see each other, just walk by the house, we'll just like flick each other off. It's
a boy thing, right?
But he doesn't know the line. He doesn't know, like, okay, you're in trouble right now. It's not fuck around time anymore.
Yes,
that's where it's hard to draw that line, because you just want to be pals with them, but you know you got to be tough on them sometimes.
When he said that, I had to, and that's kind of the reason I was asking you. You have boys. It's like I have to shade that part of me that's like a dude, and that part of me that's like a dad, and I'm like, that's not okay, and I'm just like trying to hide the smile at the same time. But yeah, I had to tell somebody. I was like, I can't believe my 3-year-old got. I don't even know where he heard that. Like, let my fucking nuts hang. I died a little bit inside.
I guess my youngest was probably about 4. You know, like I say, he was on the spectrum, so he had speech delay. He didn't really start talking a lot until he got a little older. And one time the dog was just like carrying like a fool in the backyard while me and him were having breakfast together. He's like all frustrated. He leaves. He puts down his cereal to go let the dog in. He comes back, sits down, and just goes, fucking dog. I can't laugh because I can't make him think that that's funny, but it's hilarious.
It is. Yes, dude. I totally get it. So I think that's special too, man. I didn't know that about your son, and I think that there's going to be a moment where does he have that thing that he's like super good at? I guess I don't remember the word about it. But all the people that my kids know that are on the spectrum, it's like there's something really fascinating as far as like, so let's say there's like piano is really big.
He's really, really good at. He's actually really good at staying alive. Like a lot of the stuff that kids do at that age are just completely reckless. He's always been like, he wouldn't jump off the couch. He'd like get down real
logical.
Slowly. He never falls down. He never hurts himself. So I was like, well, that's nice.
Yeah.
You know, with my other one, I was like, I'm glad that little boys are made out of rubber, because oh my God, this kid bounced his head off the ground like a dozen times.
Oh, man,
I'm surprised he don't have brain damage, but I guess he has really good balance because he doesn't really fall down.
I think that's great, because let's just say my 3 boys, dude, I'm always like, I cannot believe you're okay. Like you just tumbled off of the cement and you're smiling. Well, I'm glad you're smiling, but wow.
I almost had a header off the trampoline. I thought, oh my God, he's dead. And he's fine. Oh, completely fine. I was like, God, it must be nice. I like slipped on one stair and like just, twisted my ankle, and I was out of commission for a month.
I totally get it. Yes. What's going on, Aaron? By the way, man, I know you've heard me say it a couple of times now, but congrats on you putting the book out, brother.
Yeah, man, it's really awesome. Great cover too.
It is. I cannot wait to dive in, because I'm kind of new to what's the genre? Not a sci. I'm into sci-fi, but I can't think of the genre that you're.
Yeah, I don't do sub genres, so I say it's either fantasy, sci-fi, or horror to me.
Yeah, exactly. And he Napper is another one of those wonderful authors. I just can't. I enjoy the subgenre. I just don't remember what it's called.
Biblio is like me. He loves him some Hyperion, and Biblio. You got my PO box address, right? Just put it out there.
There it is. There it is.
Because that's a really, really sweet looking cover. Really.
It
Cyberpunk.
is.
Okay, Cyberpunk. Yeah.
Cyberpunk. Yes. Yes, that's it. 100%.
I was going to read Neuromancer finally because they're adapting it for Apple TV. So I
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that would really, because Apple TV's really just been hitting home runs on their sci-fi stuff. I really, really like what they've been doing. So I was like,
Foundation?
That encouraged me to read it. Yeah, Foundation was great.
That was great. And
For All Mankind might be my favorite show on TV.
What was it?
For All Mankind.
Ooh, I gotta watch that. I haven't.
For All Mankind, it's a alternate history where it's what happened if Russia beat the United States to the moon. And it just like changes the course of history. It's a really good old history. It is like every season like jumps ahead like a decade. And you're continuing to live in this alternate timeline and seeing how everything would have changed if just the space race never stopped. It just sped up. It's really, really cool.
Really cool. The only history, and I feel like I've got the sense of it in that period. Of course, I wasn't around. I was born in '90, but that was a tense era. You got the Cold War going on. There's like who's going to make it there first. Well, Cold War came a little after, I feel like, but especially during that time. So my mom was born in 1969, and that's the year I believe we made it to the moon.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can't wait to check. I'm definitely gonna check it out.
I grew up in the time period where they taught during the Cold War where they taught us that if the nuclear bomb drops, just get underneath your desk.
That's gonna help.
At school. That's what they taught us literally in the 80s, guys. It was scary times.
I can't imagine, and it would be. Again, sorry about I think me and Mike get on he talks a lot about lighting. Me, I don't talk as much about it because I just know I'm terrible at it. So the green screen, it'll happen eventually. Well, I'll tell you what, Mike, I'm actually excited to tell you this. I'm going to be able, because in my mind, this is what I envision. I see your bookshelf, which is gorgeous, always has been. I finally am building my wife. She does graphic design and DTF transfers for like t-shirts and stuff like that. And she sells her graphic designs. That's what she does. And she needs like an extra room for it. So we're building a 12 by 20 building beside her house. And I'm going to have some of it for like a bookshelf that I get to build. So I'm excited. That's where I'm going to be doing some more like recorded videos. I'll get to have like the pretty bookshelves behind me like you, because I'm going to build them myself. The only ones I've built are in front of me, so nobody gets to see them. They're full of Stephen King and a lot of Stephen King that I haven't read, including It, which needs its own stud.
The second part about this is like I've got like 4 more shelves that aren't actually on the camera, but this
I
is
believe
the angle that I can find. But I probably should do that because I feel like I should do that so I can space it out better and I can make them go all the way to the ceiling and I can get more books in there because I'm just stacking stuff on the floor in the closet, all kinds of things. Now, like
with 1,000 followers, I can imagine
books that I can't find them, and I just like F it. I'll just get it on Kindle because
dude. So I had to shout out before you leave, man. Holy shit, that's the biggest donation I've ever gotten. I wanted to say thank you so much, man. That's seriously wow. Thank you so much, dude.
John, you need to hop on my live stream sometime.
Thank you so much, John, man. That was excellent. I really appreciate you. It's hard to write and listen at the same time, so I say talking, but hey, that's actually a pretty good idea.
That's why sometimes I just don't stress if my lighting looks terrible, because I'm like, most people are just going to minimize this and listen anyway. And I came up as a podcaster, and I'd much rather people listen to my voice and look at my face because, there's one that's good and one that's not so much. So it works out fine for me.
Mike, there's never been, even when I first started and I knew nothing and I was actually looking for quality of video, there's never been a time where I'm like, damn, Mike's channel's pretty good, but the lighting, it never, dude.
I think it's one of those, like, while it's going on, I don't really think about it, but when I go back to it after I improve it, I'm like, oh my God, awful. But if you aren't getting better, you aren't trying, I say.
Oh, and well, I think if anybody starts at like the very beginning, especially mine, holy crap, dude. I owe so many like redo interviews because I really love doing what we're doing right now. I'm going to do more recorded videos and I can't wait, but I have really fell in love with these
Yeah,
these
discussion.
on
I mean,
the
I came up with, like I said, I came up as a podcaster, and that's why I first started doing the Talk About Nothing bits, because I just wanted someone else to talk to. It's nice being able to
and they're
ramble.
great. You
You
do
know,
wonderful.
it's nice. That's why I'm doing my secondary channel. I'm doing pretty much everything. It's just videos with my wife, because it's
Oh,
fun to have someone to talk to. And obviously, we've been together for 17 years. Who you going to have better chemistry with, right? So
dude.
once she got past the point of being shy about being on the camera, which is weird because she's a public educator, she's used to talking to people. I think it went pretty smoothly.
That's you really are you kind of segue me into a lot of things, because I was gonna ask, one thing I would love to do is, and it has a lot to do with, there's a baby right now and she doesn't go to sleep very well, but as soon as she does, she's right there. I would love to do something with the wife, man. And I was going to ask you, how did you kind of start that? Was she a little bit apprehensive at first?
Yeah, I'd say it took 5 years to get her to agree to do that. And I just told her, it was like, hey, every time we watch something, we sit there and talk about it for like 30 minutes. So I was like, what do you say if I just like record that? First, she was like, okay, I would be okay with that in like podcast format. Because I tried to get her like 2 years ago. I read Alice in Wonderland, her favorite book.
Mm-hmm.
I thought,
okay, Alice in Wonderland.
And we'll do a review of Alice in Wonderland together. She was like, nope. I remember one time I was having a live stream and she needed something. She literally got on the floor and crawled to get over here and crawl back out so she wouldn't be seen on camera. But it's just one of those things, you're always kind of worried that people are going to like make fun of you or something. I don't know. I told her, like,
no,
they ain't making fun of my face. All they're going to be saying is like, wow, Mike, how'd you get hurt? That's what they're going to say. If anything, it'll boost your ego. And so,
yes, I think that. So first, man, as a guy, I was actually typing this to you, but I figured that I would delete it and actually tell you while we're live, man. I respect so much that you're a family dude, because, taking time to spend with your wife, to watch your favorite shows, to take time to take with your family, your boys, which you do amazing things. I always love the things that you're posting. That's something that is who I'm trying to be as a young father. So I think that is an incredible thing to be a role model of and for people to see. So yeah, man, that's just me telling you, man to man. I love that.
Appreciate that. It's important, guys. It's important to be a father figure, because you know what? The thing that sucks about it is I still feel like I'm missing so much of it. And you're always going to feel like that. You always feel like the time is coming. Like, I blink and I've got a 12 and a 9-year-old, and it really just feels like you go back to when they're first born. You're like, oh wow, this is gonna, be a long ride. It's like it don't feel like that. I mean, I'm like really 12. I'm like, when he turns 13 next year, it's probably gonna break me a little bit.
He's like officially a teenager then, right?
Yeah, it's well, he already acts like one. He's been acting like one for a couple of years, but but yeah, I think when he turned 10, I was like emotional. I was like, what? This is going way too quick,
It is. It now tell me, I was so blessed, man, to see this 4 times, see my wife give birth, man. I was there.
If we had started earlier, I was like, I love being a dad. We probably would have had like 6 of them, but it was.
Were you? Yes. Yeah, but were you sad? Like, did you have that moment when you guys kind of had to talk, or the medical thing where I did? I was like, man, I'm sad that this is over.
The thing that was, it was like, if you could have guaranteed us a girl, we would have had a 3rd one. But
okay, yeah.
It's funny is, before we got checked out before we decided to have kids and all that, just to make sure everything was safe. And my doctor told me, well, your testosterone levels are so high, you can probably only have boys. I was like, what do you know, dude? And then now all these years later, I'm like, well, he was a doctor. He probably knew quite a bit.
Hey.
Right. But and also it was like, we had middle kids always seem to get kind of forgotten, it seems like. And we're like, we've already got a middle kid, or would potentially have been a middle kid that was special needs. And we're like, I don't want to feel like he's being abandoned. So it was like, it was tough. It was really, really hard when we made that decision. But on the other hand, it was like, I don't know, we're out of diapers. I don't want to start over diapers at 40.
That's
so
huge.
It was a tough talk, but because we went back and forth on it a few times.
So
I guarantee it's a girl that we would have done it. Yeah.
With my second child, who is probably our most difficult, I would consider our middle child. And yes, 100%. He got less attention. And there is evidence of that. And that wasn't planned. That wasn't on purpose. But when you have multiple children, that is something that happens, because even as close as the 4 children we have a 5, a 3, a 2, and a 10-month-old. They're very close.
Oh, it's no secret why you don't have any hair. Oh my God. Wow.
Yes.
I didn't know they were all that close in age. Holy crap.
So you do find that at least one, it's one of ours. His name's Benjamin. He's hilarious. He's actually the one that said let your fucking nuts hang. and he was, he has those immaturities about him still that I wish we could have taken a little more time to. Now we're working on those, okay? And with the kids being so close together, I'm excited for those a little bit later years now, because they're going to be close in age. They're going to hang out. They're going to be close at school, I hope. But yeah, what you're saying is 100% true, man. There's those middle children. So every time I turn around, I get to see these Ryan Cahill special editions, and I just had to bring it up because you just showed yours in your last video, and I just have to say I'm like jealous. That is amazing that you got your hands on that. I remember watching you open it.
I still expect all the time for the broken binding to be like that drug dealer who gives you like a little bit of drugs, and it's like, okay, now you got to pay for them. I keep expecting that. But all the time he's like, no, man, you helped me out a ton. He's like, every time you show it, people get interested. And our subscriptions list gets longer and longer. So it doesn't mind. But I mean, yeah, I'm beyond blessed because I could not afford to buy all those books.
I signed up for their subscription list about the same time you did your opening of Blood and Fire. I was number 7,600. And I got the Gentleman Bastards trilogy. That's not finished, but it will be, I think. I hope. So I signed up right when you did that. It took me at least a year to get through those. Because there's those people who sign up and never kind of come through. But I was asking them, when do I make it to tier 1? Because if you guys don't know, tier 2, which is what I'm a part of, you get the books, but they're not signed.
No signatures. Yeah.
Yes, which is very cool. And they're like, yeah, it's a decade, 10 years, which is freaking outrageous.
I think that's one of those things that he had no idea how popular that was going to be, because Broken Binding really isn't that old, and I think the success like completely caught Matt off guard.
And Matt was a part of another publisher, I believe. I believe he was part of I don't know, maybe Sean Speaksman's a Grim Oak. I don't know.
Sounds right.
Yeah. But I just saw Ryan's post, by the way. I think he's having a baby, dude.
Oh, Ryan Kyle, really?
Yeah.
We're going to hang out here in September. He's going to be in Texas in September.
I saw that. It's sold out.
We got plans to do stuff together. But he said that there was something that had been taking his time. I figured it was either that or writing.
Dude, he just dropped it like 2 hours ago, and it's a baby book with like his mother. It was like, thank God it's not twins, Ryan mother. So I'm assuming it's a baby announcement, and that's what the comments look like. So Ryan, if you see this, man, freaking dude, me and my wife have been talking about you, Ryan. If you watch, I'm gonna tag him in it when we're done here. I've been praying for your baby to pop up anytime, dude. I think that's amazing. I think it's amazing because, well, as you and I know, Mike, it changes things a whole lot. And I think there's so many wonderful things going their way as far as life. And that is just going to add to the happiness.
That's clever. Oh, I guess see it. It's a hatchling.
Yeah.
Baby by Amy and Ryan Cahill. It's cute.
It says, what does it say? Thank fuck it's not twins by his mom. So congrats, man. I hope that's a baby announcement. I think it is, but if it's not, I'm sorry, but I think it is.
Yeah, right way to do it.
It is. That's his way, right? There would be no other way for Ryan Cahill to do it. Dude, somebody who's been on my list for a while, but on the verge of me needing to talk to somebody like you, Tad Williams.
Mm-hmm.
What? Now, I've watched your last video. I understand that is something your brother brought to your attention, which is so cool. I had no idea your brother inspired you like that.
Oh man, this is fun. It's like when we were younger, we kind of grew up, below the poverty line. So really, you either went to the library or I went to my brother's bedroom and kind of rated his books that he had borrowed from his friends, kind of thing. That was kind of my gateway to fantasy and sci-fi.
Wow.
as a younger man, and that's actually how I discovered Hyperion, which Biblio will appreciate. But
Yeah.
I didn't read Hyperion until I started this channel. But the thing was, is like when I moved out here, because I moved to Texas in '93, and my brother, he had already graduated high school and he stayed in Atlanta. And every once in a while, we just get together on the phone and just talk about, hey, what fantasy books, Star Wars books, things like that. And I was so excited to tell him about, I discovered this series called A Song of Ice and Fire. It's really freaking good. I can't wait to talk to him about it and ask if he's read it. And I hadn't finished saying, hey, have you ever checked out this series by George R.R. Martin called A Song of Ice? He's like, don't read that Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn ripoff. I was like, what?
I heard you say that.
And that had always stuck in my brain for years about that. And then when the show came out, I was trying to get him to read it. And he was like, I watched the show, and he was like, no, I'm not doing it. And then, of course, because at that point, everyone was started watching it. He got into it. He's like, well, maybe it's not so bad,
Yeah.
And I did finally read Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn. I could see where he was coming from. I don't think so. And George has said it is like one of his primary influences for Song of Ice and Fire. I could see it, but yeah, that's a fun story to tell, because that was really the whole reason that I had planned to read it. And the thing was, when I was reading it, I just kept texting him, a couple years ago, it's really good. He's like, yeah, I know, dummy. I've been telling you for like 30 years. So,
That's amazing.
In that series.
So I've heard, so you and I like to watch Matt's fantasy book reviews a lot. You two are probably the top ones I watch still. It's like, he wasn't into Chad Williams and you are. And I feel like I can relate. And I'm not just saying this, I promise. Like, I would be honest about it. I love a slower burn type of book. I like time to be spent on lore or history or relationships, characters, this and that. Is that something you think I would enjoy? The Tad. Now, I've only read A Game of Thrones. I've not went any further into A Song of Ice and Fire.
Have you read any Robin Hobb?
I just started Assassin's Apprentice, and I'm loving
it. If you like her style, I think you'd like Tad a lot, because it's the same very, very purple, very beautiful writing, and it's very, very slow. We're very much about spending time with these characters, and you will have 150 pages go by, and you're like, really, nothing's happened. But I'm enjoying hanging out with these characters. So it's kind of that style. If you like something like that, I say people who like Name of the Wind will probably like this style as well. It's very big. It's more about beautiful writing over pew pew explosions and dragons.
Yeah.
Now, Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn has those things. It's just sometimes it takes a while to get there. I mean, like book 3 is like longer than the Lord of the Rings trilogy by itself. That's how long the third book is. So it's one of those where he takes a while to say what he's saying, but if you stick with it, he rewards the hell out of you. So
that's it. There's
okay
nothing.
Story,
Yeah, I and Mike, you know this. If I accidentally there's a lag and I interrupt you, man, I don't mean to do that. No, I love, Joe Abercrombie is somebody you and I both love, and that's like a give and take, a lot more. It's like a 50-50 when, at least in my opinion. And then there's like for instance, I love John Gwynn, man. And I think he does a similar thing as where you get to learn about character. Now, he has a good bit of, I don't know. I'm trying to think of maybe more like Lonesome Dove. There's a lot of character banter. And I guess what I'm trying to say is I enjoy getting to know why I love a character and then it paying off in the end. And it's just that feeling of, oh man, this is it. And rather than always just getting the, okay, here's what's happened, here's the action, here's what's happened, here's the action, here's characters, now they're dead. I enjoy those sometimes, but I do enjoy spending time with characters. And then when they do finally get killed off, which I hear Robin Hobb does very well, and hurts your feelings a little bit, at least what I've heard. You get to kind of know these characters, and then eventually it kind of breaks your heart. It's the that's what it is. It's that emotional tie I gain with these characters, and I really enjoy that.
Yeah. So you're into character studies like that. I think that you can dig it for sure. But don't read it at the same time you're reading Robin Hobb.
No.
Yeah, at least with Robin Hobb, just break up those series, because they are trilogies and series.
One of the books I just started, and I'm putting down anything else because I'm starting this because I was doing a John Gwynn book, and I'll finish that before the third one comes out. But Janie Wirtz. Her prose is absolutely beautiful, and I just started this last night, and it's gorgeous. But I can tell, and she was worth like putting anything else down that I'm reading right now, because I know this is what's getting my attention. So, can you relate with that? So, let's just say you're reading a book that maybe is a palate cleanser, or something a little more digestible, if you will, and then you pick up something and you're like, her prose or his prose is something I have to spend all my time on, because, well, it's going to be worth it in the end. Like, I'm relating to it, I'm engaging with it, but this is it. Like, this is the only thing I can read right now. That's Janie.
This is that. There's one where I feel like, okay, this book's just like taking over my life, like Lonesome Dove, where I was like, I didn't have any interest to read anything besides that. Or there's one where I'm like, okay, this needs 100% of my attention, like Shogun, where I was like, okay, I need to pay attention to just this, because I can't be reading two things while I'm trying to read Shogun. You know, even though I did break Shogun up over 3 months, but that's kind of how I felt for sure. Because I usually I will usually be reading 2 books at once, you know, just different genres, I think. But yeah, it just kind of depends on the book itself. But yeah, it's different. Like I said, either something I'm really just into and I want to know more, or it's something that requires my full attention.
I think the biggest thing for me is sometimes a prose is so beautiful or complex in the way that it's immersive, that if I don't put all of my time or effort into trying to not necessarily comprehend it, but absorb it, or really try to enjoy what that author through their prose is trying to tell me as the reader, I won't understand it or really grasp it. And I'll get to the end of the book, and I've done this where I'm like, okay, I'm not really sure what happened, at least for me. So there's, again, I've just gotten a little bit better at telling which books I have to read by themselves. And Janie is going to be that. And I think the reason is not everything is apparent. I think that there's going to be some trusting of the author, which, who is somebody else I've had to trust? Well, John Gwynne is really somebody that I've had to trust. Stephen King is somebody I've had to trust, especially with like The Institute. There's a part, I would say the last 30% of The Institute where you really, have you read The Institute?
Yeah.
Where it's like he's on the train, you really have no idea where it's going. You know, he's kind of done, I'm not going to ruin anything, but he's kind of like done his thing. He's on the train, and it's like things are happening. But I know that if I read anything else right now, I'm not going to catch where this starts going the way I think it's going to go, or the way he intended me to go. That's just me. And again, I'm much more of a newer reader than you. So maybe that's different for everybody else. But I started reading like 5 years ago. And sometimes I just know this is the book I have to read. If I read anything else, I'm going to be confused.
Yeah, no, that'll happen. Like I remember I was reading Wheel of Time, and I was mixing things in with it at the same time. And when that was a time when my channel, I was doing like complete plot breakdowns. Like I would go through the entire story.
That's hard.
If you missed one, and that's the reason why I quit doing it. If you missed one thing, people would jump all over you, you know? So that's why I was like, okay, I need to make sure I'm not reading anything else, because I'll make a video and say, I wish he'd explained this. And I'm like, he did. Were you paying attention? And I'm like, maybe my attention was divided and I missed that, you know? So,
well, I've noticed it's a me thing too. Like, for instance, I know you're not a huge audiobook guy, and I've tried to be, and some I can, some I can't.
I've tried. It's just too much ADD on that.
Yeah.
People are, how can you have ADD and be a good reader? I'm like, well, because reading and listening are different things.
Totally.
You know? So
they are like not even in like the same. Yeah. So for me,
when you got young kids, you get used to just blocking out extra noise, and you just can't turn that off after a while, you know?
Yeah. 100%.
A lot of sports talk, you don't have to pay a lot of attention to it. You can kind of zone out a little bit, not miss anything. You can't do that with an audiobook. And
no,
I tried listening to something really easy like Dresden Files, and I was like, I listened for like 3 hours. Like, I don't think I could tell you 5% of what I just listened to.
If I'm listening to an audiobook, it's going to be something like one of my most recent, which was Terminal List by Jack Carr, which is he's a Navy SEAL. He talks about he's a Navy SEAL in the book, and it's just kind of like a fast-paced story that I can relate to. I can't really relate to something that's kind of European-based, knights in armor. That's what I love. That's what I love to read, but it's hard to put myself and remember everything. Now, I've tried to, for instance, I was like working with my wife today and trying to listen to a fantasy book, and I retained none of it. None of it. So I have to, especially names. You know, in the fantasy genre, it's well known that there are names that are hard to pronounce sometimes. And if you're listening to that, it may not come across the way that it would if you're reading it, at least for me.
Yeah, that's one of my things got me kind of hesitant about Dandelion Dynasty, because I'll be honest, a lot of Eastern names are really foreign to Western eyes, and they look similar, and they're hard for, at least for me. And I mean, that was hard in Shogun. I mean, it was really hard used to that, you know. But that's something that has me a little hesitant about Dandelion Dynasty, as a lot of people said, well, the names are all so similar, and it gets very confusing. I'm like, you know, I feel like any fantasy does. Like, I mean, just when we're talking this the other night, when me and my wife were talking about House of Dragon, and she's versed in that world, and she was getting the names mixed up, and I'm like, yeah, it seems like my kid was just watching this video we had on, like, you know, all the history of all the dragons and their riders, and he was like, all these names sound exactly the same. Like, yeah,
they do.
After, you know, thousands and thousands of pages, you get used to it. So I figured that Dandelion Dynasty would probably be like that for me as well.
So I have started the first book, The Grace of Kings, and I have a similar issue with names where it kind of all sounds the same. And there's a couple series that I've started that you haven't, which there's not many. These two are it. So we've got The Second Apocalypse.
God, and you alone about that book.
Dude, I really think that this, so I hope this doesn't give any, and I know
he guarantees it'll be on my top 10 fantasy update. Yeah.
Bro, this was one of the first fantasy books I ever read, and if I had known what I know now, I probably wouldn't have done that. But I understood it. I got what I think a lot of people got out of it, and it's excellent. It's excellent. It's philosophical. It's hard to understand at certain points, but if you trust him, he kind of brings you through it. There's some really disgusting characters that you really end up rooting for. Man, I really can't wait for you to read it, because I can't wait to hear your thoughts on it.
I don't think you have to wait too much longer. I got
all right.
Yeah, I got plans. Yeah. I think I got on a call with Jordan over at iWizard and Joanna, and they basically just like bullied me until I said, okay, fine.
Yeah.
And then Philip, you know, because Philip could probably ask me to jump out of my second story window, and he find a way to convince me to do it probably. So
he's good at what he does, man. You know, that's not a series. I've started the first book. Again, I'm a mood reader. I've started the first, and I'm enjoying it. I'm not disliking it at all. I just didn't pick it back up because I'm a mood reader. But I'm enjoying the religious aspect, and I can't wait to go back and kind of finish the first book and finish the trilogy, because I know I will. As much as a fantasy lover as I know you are, and video games, what is it with Elden Ring? Have you picked that up yet?
I try to tell people, it's like I have, you know, 4 people in the house that all love to play video games. And so the time that I get to play video games is very small window. And I tell them, it's not about get good noob or anything like that. It's just like, I don't have time to play games that are overly difficult.
Dude.
I won't play them, you know, because it's just, I don't have time to grind. I have time to grind for 6 hours, hoping that an enemy drops a weapon that'll let me beat somebody, or, oh, these bosses on Elden Ring ain't that hard, you know, after about 200 tries. I'm like, if that had happened in my 20s, yeah, I might have been all over that. But that just sounds way too difficult.
One thing that I've been able to do with my kids being young is, like, if I can ignore them while they're throwing toys back and forth, I've put almost 300, and I haven't put any time into anything else. I don't know how I've done it with this.
Oh, I've probably got 600 in Skyrim, so I feel you.
So exactly, I've put 300 hours into Elden Ring, and I'm 33% done with it. Like they just released a DLC that I can't understand. I knew Caleb was going to throw it up, man. By the way, wonderful start to a book. I can't wait to finish it. Dirge for Cassius, that he just dropped, dude. It's It's vile, it's dark, it's good, it's magic too. It's, I think, one of the first books that I can say is full of magic, that I've stuck with.
So you're a
Yeah,
soft magic guy? You like the lower level magics? 'Cause that's
I
what
do.
yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I haven't started anything Brandon Sanderson yet. I've read uh frick. It's like his very first book, dude.
Elantris?
Elantris.
Yeah.
I've read Elantris. It was pretty political for me at the time. I don't remember too much about it.
It's pretty
I
forgettable. I mean, it's saying that as someone who enjoys his books,
Yeah,
it's pretty forgettable for his talents. It's very clear it was his first book, but you get into Mistborn, you get into Stormlight Archive. Yeah, the magic he does it better than anyone else, I think. But there are times where it's like, can we get back to the characters instead of the magic system? I do have that problem with his stuff, but he's really good at it. He's really really good.
I picked up to read next. I didn't go with the recommended, just like me, to go on kind of against the grain. But most people say pick up Mistborn. I didn't. I'm starting with The Way of Kings.
I had to start with a certain book on Discworld, and I said, "F you, I'm doing a publication order." And
Yeah.
what a shock! I didn't really care for it.
Now, I did want to make sure before I forget. My wife wanted me to tell you, because you're one of the reasons she picked it up, was Lonesome Dove. Holy crap! Has she not just talked about a book over and over
I think
again?
that book is just damn near perfect. And the thing is, what about that is no one that I have recommended a book to that has read it has anything but love for it. I mean, no
The
one's ever
characters.
asked, it was fine. They're all like, that was an amazing book. Yeah. Yeah.
And well, I said, babe, I said, a lot of people, at least people who I pay attention to, have not kind of expanded on the series. She has read Lonesome Dove and Streets of Laredo
a couple of months ago. I loved it too.
Oh, you did read it. Okay.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
loved it too. Yeah. She said there was a hard part to get through with a young person. She said that was almost like a DNF part, but she said that she's glad that she finished it.
If you want grim dark, man, Larry McMurtry is dark.
Really?
Stuff in there that's like, oh my lord. Yeah. Yeah. He makes the villains in Lonesome Dove seem like, just teddy bears.
She said, that's cool, man. I'm so glad. I did not know that you read it. She said the exact same shit.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. And she's gonna go back and read, what is it? Comanche Moon. Yeah.
Comanche Moon. Yeah, those are two prequels, and I'm excited to see, some of those younger characters, versions of those characters.
The way she explained it, because I haven't read either. I haven't read Lonesome Dove. I've read some of it. I haven't read, and she's like, dude, you're weird. Like, I couldn't stop reading it.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that stuff's amazing. Yeah.
She's like, I can't wait for it to be like, and she said this to me, she's like, it's going to be like two old people talking about the old days, because she read Lonesome Dove, Streets of Laredo, and she's going to read the first two now.
Yeah.
So super pumped for her to kind of get on that train and experience something that I'm interested in, because she doesn't read fantasy. That I can't wait to hear her thoughts. So
well, you should get on that. Read Lonesome Dove, man.
I think that may be after my Janie Wirtz. I may just have to finish Lonesome Dove, because what I'm loving.
So good. It's that type of book that you feel stupid waiting so long to read it when you're done. Yeah, that's how good it is. Yeah.
Okay.
When I make my top 10 books of all time, I'm usually like, oh no, Legacy takes time. Don't do any knee-jerk reactions. Like, no, Lonesome Dove's on there, and it's probably only gonna go up this time.
I actually said those exact words. I was like, look, Mike's about the legacy and how it takes time, but this is his book, and I get it. Like, I'm so glad that you've had that experience, because like I said, she did not start reading until I did, which was not very long ago.
And that's why I'm actually, a lot of people will get high and mighty about audiobooks, but my whole thing when I started the channel was like, you could look at like the literacy chart, or just how much interest people in the States had, how the reading levels have went down and down and down. Most people are reading. And so a lot of people will get kind of real snobby and say, oh, well, audiobooks aren't real reading. I'm like, I am thankful for audiobooks, because it's got a lot more people interested in some of these stories they probably never would have consumed.
Yes.
For audiobooks. So I can't do them, and I'm jealous of all the people that get to read like 40 books a month because they do it that way.
Here's one.
I wish I could do it. I can't, but I'm just glad there are a lot of people who would have never, ever checked out these stories if they had to read it with their eyes, that are doing it on audio. So I'm thankful for that, because I feel like Audible has gotten a lot more people interested in some of these stories, even if they aren't picking the book up and physically reading it. again, do however works for your life when it comes to consuming a story. I'm happy with that. So I'm a supporter of audiobooks, even though I can't do them.
Yeah, I love that you made that distinction too, man, because what you're saying is this is an art, and I'm so glad that people are getting just as excited as I am, but in their own way, man. Yes, I love
The
that
only
you.
time I give those people a hard time is when they're like, "What's taking you so long?" I'm like, I didn't put it on 4 times speed and zip through it one day at work. You know?
Yeah, I if I'm reading an audiobook, I do zip it up to like 1.3. I think Ithra said something to me the other day. She's like, "Oh my god," because I sent her a picture of my audiobook, and she's like, "I can't believe you listened to it that fast." It's like, I think everybody.
Oh man,
Look, I've heard people listening to it like at 2.0, which is stupid crazy to me.
nuts, man! I love the miniseries. I watched the miniseries before I read the book. Ah, man, I love it. But hey, it's one of those things that no one thing's for everybody. It's what I always say. But everyone I know that I've gotten to read Lonesome Dove or has followed that recommendation off of my channel, read it, all just been like, wow, that was really damn good. So.
Yeah, and I think the very first things I did was kind of binge Joe Abercrombie interviews, which brought me to you.
Oh, is that?
Yeah, that was
That was a
you
bucket
and
list
Ryan.
for me.
That was so cool.
Like when I started this, if you would have told me I'd gotten to talk to him, I would tell you there's no way. So yeah,
He's a hard guy to get a hold of now. So I think, and I'm sure he was then.
He's pretty low key on the socials. Like he'll tweet stuff, but he don't really reply to a lot because I'm sure he probably gets a lot of responses.
Oh, can you imagine?
So I think it was actually a lot of people messaging him, telling him to to come on my channel, and that's when he reached out. That was really cool.
Wow, that's excellent, man. I think that's one of the people that I hope to one day. Tim and well, I actually got to meet him before I got him on my channel, which was Christopher Buhlman. I just got to meet him. Like,
I just got 2 of his books from Broken Binding. Yeah, Black Tongue Thief and Daughter's War. I've read 22 Fires. That was interesting.
Dude, that's dark. That's a dark book, homie.
Horror fantasy is a genre I didn't know I needed until now I want more of this.
Huh.
In fact, because I'm doing this new format now where I do like one horror, one sci-fi, one fantasy, one kind of miscellaneous every month. But I said spooky season, Halloween, usually I do nothing but horror. So I said this year I'm going to kind of do those style of books like sci-fi horror. I'm going to do fantasy horror. And I was trying to think of a good fantasy horror book to read next. And I was like, damn, if I could find something else like Between Fires, it's hard to find though. It's not really an untapped resource.
I think that there's going to be more people kind of dipping into that subgenre because, again, I didn't know I needed it either. I actually listened to that audiobook and it was dark. Whoa. I don't know if it was the content, which there's a lot of dark themes in that book, but
it's definitely messed up.
Lots of messed up.
When I'm reading horror, I want messed up. I want you to be like, what is wrong with you? That's what I want when I read horror.
100%. I want it to touch me in the way that Between Two Fires did. 100%. So, man, I didn't think that we'd get through all of the topics that I kind of planned, but we really did, and it was wonderful, dude. So I just want to thank. I have to say also, your wife's family, your wife's favorite book, Alice in Wonderland. We just got a kitten, our first family pet. Her name is Alice, after Alice in Wonderland. So you can tell the wifey, say, hey, we have another fan of Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah, she'll just be mad that she doesn't have a cat. She had a cat when we met. She had a cat, and I had a Doberman Pinscher, and we were worried that when we moved in together that the Doberman was going to kill the cat. We moved in together, and the cat was the bully. The cat was the bully. And
I believe it.
She was a mama dog. She just wanted to take care of that puppy. That's how she felt about it. And the cat was like, what are you doing? Get away from me. But
I've had Dobermans, and they're very sweet. They are. They are.
They've been villainized by the movie industry.
They have.
Super sweet dogs. Super sweet dogs. It's all about how you raise them, guys. Just like kids. It's all about how you raise them.
100%. Man, so Mike, I just have to say, man, I'm always looking forward to the next time, but like this has been absolutely so much fun and just a blast. So I just appreciate you coming on my little channel and having a a fun conversation about the things that we both love, man.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for being able to reschedule, because I hate to hit you with that. Guys, you didn't know I had to cancel on them because my wife was not willing for us to miss House of the Dragon.
I respected it, though. I had that all typed out, a big long time, but I told you in person how I thought about it. I respected the hell out of that. So, man, anytime, dude. So
that, and if you're just asking, a lot of people, I've been told they didn't ask me because they thought I would say no. So I'm glad that people will ask, because I love being on other people's channels because I don't have to edit anything.
Yes.
And I came up as a podcaster. Conversation is what I love to do, man. So thank you again.
Anybody who's a booktuber, who, by the way, Ithra has just opened her booktube channel. Yeah, just ask people, because what can, at the very worst, somebody can say no. But honestly, from my experience, even authors, even big authors.
I've been asking Brandon Sanderson to come on the channel for 4 years, guys. Hey, keep trying. You never know.
Yes.
Eventually the squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Exactly.
I didn't think I'd ever get Pierce Brown on the channel.
Holy shit. Yes, dude.
That took a while, but it finally happened. So yeah.
When I saw that interview and saw, like, I had no idea how big he was. Now that I do, and I've started Red Rising, which is fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome. And Pierce is an awesome guy. And the thing about that conversation is, like, he was like, okay, I've only got like an hour. I need to make sure I get back to writing. So he had like an alarm that went off in that. And the conversation was so good. He was like, fuck it, let's keep going.
Yeah, I know. I watched it.
So,
I've watched it many times. It's great.
We talked for a while afterwards. So yeah, really awesome guy.
So one last thing, Curran. Yeah, man, I only see him going on that channel.
Yeah.
But hopefully he can break that, because I don't know if that's a good thing.
He's a big time. He's big time. See, Brandon doesn't need guys like me to sell books, So it's really just does he have the time?
Tell Christopher Rocchio, man, dude. Christopher Rocchio, and he's shown you the love that I think that you deserve. He is doing what you're the reason I picked his book up, and so many people would say that.
Yeah, that's why it's one of those things where, like, I'm happy that more people are discovering it. But when I've got people being like, "Hey, have you heard of this Empire of Silence book Daniel Green was talking about?" Like, yeah, I've heard of it.
Oh, that's got to be like, so here's a link.
Again, I'm just happy, but it's like I loved Song of Ice and Fire for years, and then I had people around season 3 of Game of Thrones telling me that, oh, well, you should read the books. Motherfucker, what?
Yeah, it's like, what? Yeah, dude. You know what? Yeah, I think there's always going to be that, because people come in at different times, but hey, if they're real fans, man, they're gonna go back, and I've checked it all out, and I know so many people have, because I talked to so many people about it. But man, I can't wait for the next time again. But thank you for this time, man, and I hope you have a wonderful night with the family. Tell everybody thank you for letting me borrow you for an hour and 8 minutes. It always goes so fast. Thank y'all that were here for the live, man, and anybody that watches the replay, thank you as well. I'm going to go, it's 10:15-ish here. I'm going to go dive in the bed, read a little bit of Janie Wirtz.
Janie, by the way, before you let me go here, I say Janie did message me today just to tell me thank you for mentioning her in today's video. So that's how great Janie is. One, dude, I can't believe any authors take time to watch my content. And again, to just say thank you for just mentioning her name in that video today.
Janny's a gangster, dude. I've had her on the channel. I highly suggest anybody talk with her. What I would say, one sentence, Janie Wirtz is unapologetically Janie Wirtz, and she is a gangster, straight up.
She's very sweet, yeah.
She's sweet, yes, very sweet, but she is unapologetically Janie Wirtz, and that is the best kind of human out there. Right. Hey, man, thank you all again. Thank you, Mike. We'll talk soon. And everybody else, thank you so much. Kitchen on replay, thank you, too. See you guys.